Welcome to the Rich Relationship Podcast with Gil
and Renee, where amazing things happen. Our goal is to help build, repair, and restore healthy relationships.
Hey, Rich fam, it's Renee.
And Gil from the Rich Relationship Refuge.
And for a change, we have a guest.
Because we know you guys are tired of seeing us and talking to y'all about just marriage, and relationship. Well, we decided to bring on someone that is in that space, but not in that space, just to give a different perspective.
Yeah, so we have our amazing rich friend, and we talked about what our rich friends are. If you don't know, go back and look at another episode. But this is our rich friend. Her name is Camille Essek. She is the creator and owner of the Speaker podcast, and she's going to share from her perspective, because most of the time she's interviewing people. So today we are going to interview Camille, and it'll be a switch, and it'll be an opportunity for her to be able to share all the amazing things that God is doing in her life. So Camille, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Hi, Gil and Renee. Thank you for joining me. It's an honor and a blessing to be here. So thank you.
We appreciate. Camille was probably one of the first people that I think you interviewed us, or we interviewed you as far as a connection. But regardless, it was 5 years ago. We were talking about that before we got started. And that goes to show you that this is a long journey. And for people who are in it, who are in this space, that is something that is so important.
The digital world.
You were there with us at the beginning when we didn't know what we was doing.
Same for me. We're both new to the podcasting space. So it's really good to still be connected and reconnect after these years. So it's really great.
I know it's so good, especially the reason why I'm sorry, Renee set this one up, and I think about when we talk to couples, a lot of times, especially if they're in that dating space, they really don't know how to approach what they're doing from a relationship space. Not that they don't know how to be in a relationship, but we're always kind of focused on it from a marriage perspective. And even though we were single, it was a lot of years ago. Yes. It was a lot of years ago, and things may have changed, especially those who have children. They always say it wasn't like that when y'all were growing up. It's different now.
So we want you to share from your perspective, Camille, how, if you would have had to describe the terrain, the dating terrain in this day and age, if you had to make it a movie, what would you name it? The dating terrain in this day and age.
Diabolical.
Oh, wow, that's an aggressive one. I got to hear some more about that one.
Tell us more. Why would you say diabolical?
Just because now that we have social media and the conversations and the fact that you have so many people that have access to a microphone and a platform and social media. And so now it's become like a landmine. I guess that would be the sequel, landmine, and navigating these spaces and conversations, and it's and then adding on people that are not healed and whole. So imagine people that are not healed or whole with the platform, and everyone's putting in their 2 cents. So you have traditional mindset when it comes to dating, courting. Then you have what we call the red pill, blue pill community. You have the 50-50 community. And then when we bring in race, gender, and then colorism. So to be a Black woman, brown-skinned Black woman, and then you add in ageism. So brown-skinned Black women over 30. So see how this goes, and then add on core systems, like you add in Christianity versus being a Muslim, or what we call New Age spiritualism, where people don't say God anymore, or Jesus Christ. They want to talk about the higher power in the universe and crystals and saging and manifestation. So you have all these ideas converging in a social media space, and then having to weed through on out here, on top of you figuring out what you want and what you need, and seeing if what that aligns with someone else and their beliefs. Then you throw in you know, if you want to be abstinent, or do you feel like there's nothing wrong with something on the first date? So there's a lot of different core values swirling around in this field of life, love, and relationship.
So what is it for? So if you had to, for you, what has been your experience? Like, I know all that stuff is out there, but for you, what has been your experience? Just personally, your experience.
It's been interesting for me personally. I've been single for 4 years. 4 years.
Okay.
Yes, 4 years. I've been single by choice, only because I feel that I needed to really sit down and discover, what do I really want, what really matters to me. And so when you're younger, you know, most women in your younger years, you have a list, right, of X, Y, Z. But as you get older, some of those things on the list, they don't matter. And you start to realize, okay, we still have some things here that we need and we want, but what really matters, because you're looking at, you know, choosing, you know, husband, father, leadership, relationship with God. There are other things that are now priority and more important. So for me, it's been in the last 4 years non-existent, just because I've opted to focus on me and just really hone in on some things before I can say I want my dream guy, making sure I'm the dream woman, and making sure, and I've turned the list back on myself, because I feel like it's so unfair to demand all these things from my man. But it's like, but what are you bringing to the table? And so to put those things to the side, and turning that mirror back on myself and working and focusing more on me, and not just to be married, but just to make sure I'm a blessing to myself, the people I interact with on a daily basis in my community. Do I want to be married still? Yes, of course. But I want to make sure we can have things from our past that hurt us, but sometimes we can have residue from those past relationships. And we need to make sure that we're staying in the presence of God. If we're doing therapy, if we're reading, exercising, doing all the things necessary to burn that residue off, because you don't want to bring that not only to your next chapter of your relationship, but just in your next chapter of life when it comes to your purpose and your assignments.
Well, you gave a lot of wisdom right there. I mean, I'm still stuck back at the red pill and the blue pill from what you said at the very, very beginning, which is, I think, so important for people who may not be familiar with that. That's a reference to a movie about, you know, being in reality and versus being in this fantasy type world. So, and you gave some other deeper spiritual aspects of it, but I wanted to ask, based on what you said about you're single by choice, why is that important for you? And what does that journey look like for someone who may be navigating that same space? What does that mean? What are you kind of working on, or the wisdom that you're gaining from where you were before you started dating to where you are now?
Being single by choice and in this space, taking more time to evaluate the people I interact with, being more selective of individuals in my circle, people that what I call in my inner court, and realizing, are you conducive to my future, my purpose, and my assignment? And if you're not, I have to move you to the outer court, right? Meaning taking more time, not dating, sitting back and revisiting some of those relationships and saying, you know, even though these people, you know, approached me, but I allowed them to stay, why is that? And going back and revisiting some red flags I missed, and being honest, and okay, this person may have done that, but did I walk down the red flag to a green? You know, and there's accountability in those things too, because, you know, you want to be married, you want to have a family. And so we minimize some red flags and say, oh, maybe it's not a red, maybe it's a yellow. No, it was definitely a red flag, you know, and we ignore things because we want to certain things. And also in times, speaking in general terms, we can, how can I word this? We can choose to be in a relationship not thinking about our full potential. We're just at this level, not realizing there's another level to you, an evolution of your personality. There's another evolution or level in your spiritual life. There's another evolution in your personal life within yourself. And so is this person good? Because right now this is great, but can this person grow with you through the ebbs and flows of life in the next 10 to 20 years? Because who you are at 25 is not the same at 40. And we hear a lot of times in relationships, oh, they change. They should. If you marry someone and they're the same person, if let's say you get married at 25 and now you're 45 and they're the same person, is that really a good thing? Because there should be a maturation in that process. And most people evolve and change every I think the statistics say every 3 to 5 years. So every 3 to 5 years, you're meeting a new version of that person. And so there needs to be grace and stretch within the relationship that you can grow into the relationship. You can stretch with that person and grow with that person, because, you know, you hear the vows for better or for worse, but to be better means that right now you're good. So for better or worse means at some point, if you're good, you're going to get better. So you should be able to get better with that person. And so taking that time to sit with yourself and knowing your own voice and being able to really hear and discern the voice of God. So when someone does approach you and in a scenario where maybe they want to go to lunch and you sit down and have lunch, you can hear them speaking, but then you can also hear God because your discernment has heightened. And in that conversation, they can talk to you. They can be fine. The Holy Ghost can kick in and be like, mm-mm. So those things are important, and that's what that looks like. If you're walking out a faith-based, God-based, Christ-based dating and relationship scenario within yourself.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that's really important, that, like you said, sitting with yourself. I think that's an important part of the journey. We are in the process right now of finishing a book, and it's called The Single Blueprint to Dating and Marriage. Because I think, like, from our conversations I've had with other of my friends who are single women who are secure in their singleness. Let me say that. Being single does not mean there's something wrong with you. It doesn't mean that that you're broken. Doesn't mean that doesn't. Sometimes being single, a part of it is everyone is single. Everyone starts off single. So singleness is a part of the journey. And so why look down on any part of the journey? And so the reason why we did this book was because I realized a lot of people, and I want us to talk about this, grew up in church. Like, we didn't grow up in church. So for us, our dating was a long process of dating. So for you, you grew up in church, correct? So what were you taught about dating from the people around you? What does dating look like from what you were taught growing up?
Oh, goodness. Growing up in church, you went to college, and it was like you go to college to graduate, but also find a husband. By a certain age, you should be married or dating or courting. And if you're not, then there's something wrong with you. And then if you do get married, then there's pressure. Oh, when are you going to have your first child? You know, and then being grown up in the South. I mean, honestly, growing up I'm third generation apostolic. So in that arena, there was, and to a degree, you know, I think it's getting better now, but during that time, there was a stigma as far as by a certain age, not being married, not having a child, you know, you're kind of looked at like, well, what's wrong with her? You know, I've had one of my previous first ladies growing up in church. I was in the Navy and joined the Navy. And during that time and in a conversation with her, she was like, you know, you're around all those men and you still can't find a man. And to my face, and that hurt, like, to be antagonized for not having a man, not being married. And so, yeah, that's been my experience with that. Of course, I've learned to separate. That's not all churches. That does not apply to all first ladies. That was my experience with that person. And I'm not one to say, well, all. That's just like saying all Black people or all white people.
Right.
We're not a monolith, you know. So let me put that out there. But that was just my experience with that particular individual. So
knowing what you know now from like you were saying, the experience you mentioned earlier about having those life experiences that you have and bringing those into your current relationships, or even as you're setting up, let's just say setting up to start dating, or if you haven't gotten to that point, why is it so important that whether it's a young lady or a young man spend time getting to know themselves, based on what you knew then versus what you know now, whether you're in the church or out of.
It's to know that happiness comes from within, and that a person does not complete you or make you happy. Because if that person walks out and you put all your expectation for them to make you happy or complete you, and let's say they walk out of the door, that can destroy your world and tear you apart in ways you cannot imagine. Not to say it's not going to hurt, but if you sit with yourself and you know who you are in God, you know who you are as far as your purpose and your assignment, being able to hear the sound of your own voice, being able to hear and recognize God's voice within you without external interference, it's another level of confidence. Knowing who you are, being sure of yourself. Growing up, I was an introverted. I'm still naturally introverted, but as a little girl, I was introverted unless I just really knew you. I did not speak up for myself. I didn't know my own voice. I didn't know the strength of my own voice. And so coming into my early 20s, it created issues and situations because I did not know how to speak up for myself, because I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be validated. I wanted to be loved, And so when you don't use your voice, people can take advantage, they can manipulate, be deceptive. You excuse a lot of bad behavior. And so when you're sitting with yourself, you need to know, even if it's simple as, I don't know, I love orange juice. Just for example, I don't like orange juice. I love apple juice. Or I turn my toilet paper this way or that way. Just knowing your likes and your dislikes. And also to know your boundaries, because when someone comes in and let's say you've been dating for a year and your tradition in your home is I leave my shoes at the door, and that person comes over and they just walk all through your house. But because you like them, you allow them to walk all through your place, and inside you're just like, oh, you're gritting your teeth and you become upset with yourself. But it's like, no, speak up. Like, hey, you're great, but here we take off our shoes at the door. Just little things like that on your day to day. So when you bring other people into your circle, it's not to say that you're not flexible or that you don't compromise on things that are good and knowing how to interact with other people. But certain things that are, if it's interrupting your value, your core, your spiritual life with God, but you need to be able to know and recognize that for yourself without other people. So when other people come in to your life, you can say, okay, this is good for me. That's good for me. I don't, it's not bad, but it's just not good for me. And just knowing where lines can be drawn or boundaries set. So,
wow.
Yeah. I think that's so important because you and I have been talking about a lot this week. People say the devil's in the details, but then the Bible says it's the small foxes that destroy the vine. So to me, when I could put those two together, the devil is into the details. So we need to be into the details. And those little small things that it's okay if he puts his hand down my shirt and I'm okay. I'm not, because if you're okay with that, taking your shoes off, then you'll be okay with other things. And so I think it's important that you're sharing this, because so many times as women, we don't realize that our bodies belong to us and that people can only do to us what we let them. So we need to learn how to establish those kind of boundaries, know what we like and don't like. And so I think it's beautiful that you kind of made it real clear, left no room for misinterpretation about what does it mean to know yourself.
And Gil, Renee, it's also a great time for self-development. Like recently, I've rediscovered my love for reading and saying, okay, like this week I want to read a certain book, and the next week I want to read another book. Incorporating more physical fitness back into my life. I had kind of let it go, and then today, about a couple hours ago, I did 1.5 miles on my new walking pad from Amazon, just because I'm like, you know what, I'm in decent shape, but you were a lot better. So it's like, let's make this a goal to do at least 1.5 miles every day. And so today I got in my first 1.5 miles. I made myself a Chipotle bowl. You know, it's healthy, greens, fresh veggies. Like I did the turkey meat and my tomato and corn and rice and fresh avocado, fresh tomato, and drinking my water, you know, and drinking my mango lemonade and things like that. And I feel good. Like doing that for myself, it felt good. And watching 911 with Angela Bassett while I was doing my mile and a half. Things like that, you know.
And it's so funny. So you mean you wasn't doing all that for the future guy or whether you're dating or whether you're getting ready to get married, you wasn't doing that for them?
No, that's for me.
Really?
And the reason why I say this is because, you know, we want to achieve things, we want to do things, but our body is a temple, and the Bible talks about stewardship, and stewardship goes beyond money. Stewardship over your body, stewardship over your health, concentrating on the 3 B's: your brand, your body, and your brain, you know. And I feel good about me. I want, you know, summer is coming. My birthday's in June. I want to look cute in my sundress for me, you know. And so in order to do that, I'm starting to get a little older, and I don't want to wake up and my knees and things are cracking and popping, you know.
They will anyway, though.
Right. But it's like, well, let's prolong it. And and it elevates my feeling of self. I feel refreshed. I feel vibrant. I feel alive. And just how that feels for me. And I was getting close to my first mile and a half on the machine, and I got to like 1.4, and I was by myself, and I was like, yeah, Camille, you're doing, like, I was cheering myself on, like, look at you, girl, you got your first mile. And just that moment with myself, it felt good. That felt
words of affirmation.
My spirit. And it's not for a man, you know, okay, but what about, you know, the joy within yourself? That's what matters.
Right.
Yeah. The reason why I laughed was because Gil laughs that I like
that show you mentioned. She'll binge watch it. I'm like, I would have
sick right now.
See, and I would have never thought, and you kind of mentioned this before when you talked about change in relationships, and then the person that you're with, whether you're dating or married, that person is going to change.
Yes.
I would have never thought Renee would have been interested in a first responder type show about all these crazy episodes.
So be open to being with, and I think that's one of the things I say. I think it's important that you know who you are, because how can you really give yourself away if you've not done the work? And it's so good to see you doing the work, to hear you doing the work, and that you're enjoying it. Because I believe that when we find us, then the other people will be able to find us. Because I think for me, because I had such low self-esteem for so many years, and the Lord was like, hey, beautiful. And I had to learn how to respond to that, because I had to start saying that to myself. So many times we respond to what we hear in our head. And so we, like you're talking about encouraging yourself, cheering yourself on, we have to start doing that for ourselves, so that when we hear it, it's not, Gil read a book, She Calls Me Daddy. And one of the things it talked about was, don't let some guy on the street be the first person to tell your daughter that she's beautiful. You need to tell her that. And so we need to tell ourselves as women, we're beautiful, we're smart, we're capable. Because if we don't say it, we'll never respond to it when we hear it somewhere else.
Now, I got a question. Okay, so you've been working on this.
I think I was going to add.
Go ahead.
There's just little things I do for myself. And recently I bought myself some flowers, and it brightened up the space. And it's like, and I love, you know, roses or orchids or lilies. So whatever, you know, they have, I'm like, oh, these are pretty. I have a thing on Sunday, I make myself brunch. And that's like my love language to myself on Sundays. I make myself brunch, or treating my body better. You know, I'm single. I don't have a husband to carry all this water for me all the time. So what did I do? I got an account with Walmart, and once a week I have them to deliver my groceries for me, because that takes stress and pressure off of my mind. I don't have to worry about kids crying. I'm not frustrated trying to carry all these groceries by myself. There's just little things where I can be more gracious to myself as a woman. And we're always looking for the term now, a soft life. You want some man to give you the soft life. Girl, give yourself the soft life.
Girl, please.
My shower head and got the new there's a new waterfall shower head out. I got it and installed it myself because at the end of the day, I want to be able to relax. And it's like, Camille, you can do this, you know? And so the little things, it may seem small to some people, but that's major to me. Making myself brunch, ordering my groceries, reading my book, journaling, exercising, and those little things to pour and replenish into my heart every day. And I think we as a people, if we take the time, we're always looking for other people to do those things, but it's like you can do that and start with you. Start within yourself.
You know, I have to applaud you because the scripture that came to my mind was, "He that finds a wife finds a good thing," which means that tells me that you're already having those skills and those attributes of a wife while you're single.
It doesn't say he defines a rabbi or
you have
quickie.
Yeah, you have already,
girlfriend.
and because, and this is not, I'm not speaking for all guys. I'm just speaking for my 35 years of experience from being married to one woman, that when you find a woman who is developing everything that you just described over the last few minutes of those attributes of self-care, being conscious about what you're trying to achieve, whether it's professionally or even physically, mentally, spiritually, those are the things that he may be looking for. Yeah. That's what he should be looking for. So my question that I wanted to kind of pose to you, you have achieved a level of consciousness and where you're at professionally and those types of things. How do you, from a person, like you said, you're at you're not a young 20+ year old just getting started in this world. How do you navigate? You've got it all together now. Not saying that we're not complete, but how would it be to incorporate that guy when he does come along, if you've already done all the things that I really traditionally that guys have always looked to do when they for their woman when they get into the relationship, you know, whether it's the carrying of the water or changing the shower head. Do you think it would be a challenge for him to move into those spaces?
No, I'm doing it because he's not here.
Right, right.
And I'm not tall. I'm only 5'4", so I have to climb up for things to get it done. But
right.
It's about being willing to allow someone in your space, because there are people that can become so fixed into their routine that no one can come in. Right. But if you have the right heart and motive and discernment, you can see that, okay, let me see what Mr. Man, the man of God, is talking about.
Right.
And that comes with trust and provision. And we hear the word, you know, a man is supposed to provide. And I was thinking about this earlier. Actually, I was thinking about my grandfather, and he's no longer living, my grandparents. And he was a provider, but he provided more than just a physical house and money or a car, right? Mm-hmm. He provided protection. He provided security. When we look at this security, that is also emotional security, psychological security, spiritual security, and providing a space where we knew he would cover us, protect us, little things. And as I was sitting on my couch earlier and I was thinking about him, he taught me how to ride my bike. Even though he had business acumen, I don't remember the money he made, or, you know, even though he did leave a legacy, but for me, his legacy were the memories. He taught me how to drive when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, and it was nap time. It wasn't my grandmother. He was the one in the rocking chair holding me. Couldn't sing to save I can remember him singing "Rockabye Baby," and he would rock me to sleep. You know, he was a very manly man, but he was so in tune, you know, because I was this little brown-skinned little girl with ponytails. You know how to look cute. And he would rock me to sleep, or if my teeth, you know, started losing my teeth, he pulled my teeth.
Yeah.
You know? And when it came to tools, you know, because I was a granddaddy's girl, you know, I fell in love with sports because of him. Our thing on Sundays, we would sit on the couch and watch, if it was football or basketball or whatever, you know, those moments with him. So he provided those things for me.
Yeah.
And so whoever God has to come into my life, it's not just about what you're bringing to the table with your portfolio and your wallet and your bank account. But what are you offering that you can provide for me? Security, reliability, your integrity, your character, your intention. And people, oh, I have intention, be good or bad, you know? And so all of those things together, and then also trust, because any woman, I don't care what she's achieved, if she doesn't trust him, she's not going to allow him into the space. So it's not so much about you trying to persuade me that you're a good man, but just showing up and just being a good man, and me seeing that in you. And I don't think that any woman that really desires marriage, if she's doing all these things, changing shower heads or whatever, if he's in the space, she's naturally going to fall back and allow him to be that person.
That's
good.
Honestly, I didn't want to do this anyway, sir. You know,
and that,
fun,
that's so awesome that you said that, because you have a measuring or a standard now that your granddad set, that you can measure this person up against. Not that you're looking to replace him,
No.
but at least you have a marker or something to identify this guy, whoever it may be, the things that you're looking for. Was it like that at the beginning, when your younger days, when you were dating now versus now?
Oh Lord, no. I was just, a teenager on the college campus, being in college.
Yeah.
But now, being older and wiser, a lot of times recently, a lot of conversations with my grandfather have come back to me. When I was younger, at 17, 18, 19, he would talk to me after breakfast at the table, and it wasn't really clicking, but he was really, I think he was really pouring the best way he could, because I really feel like he knew he would not live long enough to see me at this age.
Yeah.
And so he really gave me a lot of gems and nuggets as a little girl, as a teenager, up until, he passed away when I was 20.
Planting seeds.
29.
Yeah.
And he was planting seeds. And so now there are so many times where I go back and I think about the conversations that he and I had, as a child, and I hold on to those things. Even the moments when I was a little girl, or when I was a little girl, he would take me with him because he had season tickets to the baseball games, and he would take me, or he would be in his garage cleaning and messing with his fishing tools. And even though he was a very manly man, he still allowed those, what I call those daddy daughter moments. Like, he would let me comb his hair or paint his nails, and put makeup on his face. But if I had the lip gloss, don't put that on me.
He had a boundary now.
But he was like, you're pulling too hard. But he still allowed me to be a little girl and be feminine. And even in his manly alpha male personality, he allowed my femininity as a child. So when you're looking at adult male future husband, whoever he is, he can be the most masculine alpha male, but he still allows Camille to be feminine and to be and be the fully feminine, womanly woman that I am.
Right.
So, and it has nothing to do with him being insecure about his manhood, but he's so secure in who he is. He allows me to flourish in who I am.
That's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. And it's important that you paint those kind of pictures, because some people don't have those examples. So I really appreciate you like really painting that out so that people have a picture in their mind of what it's supposed to look like to be in a relationship with someone that is not like them. Mm-hmm. So I have a question. If you were to give advice to someone who is just starting out on this journey of dating, what would be some advice you would share with her so that she would know how to avoid some of the pitfalls of dating in this day and age?
And this diabolical dating.
Pray and get your discernment on 1,000.
Wow.
So if I were to say it, so how do I do that though? I mean, how do I know if my discernment is higher? I mean, for someone who doesn't know, let's say somebody who doesn't go to church.
The Word of God. The Word of God. getting in your word, study, your word, pray, talk to God, ask him to lead and guide you, to show you the pitfalls in the beginning, that judge you don't judge a book by its character, but you also don't base your decisions based on what it looks like. I would say over the last 10 years, one of my prayers has been, Lord, if they're here to hurt me, to harm me, to keep me from my purpose, reveal them to me, show them to me, and then move them out of the way. Simplest prayer I've ever prayed, and he's done it every time. Now, did I always listen? No, but he did that. And not just in my dating situation, but my personal situations with friends or relatives or whomever, just people I meet, just asking God to open up your eyes and to be able to hear him to guide you. The word of God says, all things work together for good. It also says that the steps of a good man or woman are ordered by the Lord, right? But you have to be able to put yourself in a position to be led by God and to hear, to see. Also, take more time for self-development, right? If you want to be married, you're going to meet different types of people, and you need to be able to hold conversation, right? Your conversation just can't be here and in a box. And if you're a church girl, travel. Being in the military, I've been able to see and go places I thought I would never imagine, but it also helped me to be able to connect with people outside of my little zip code, right? Being more well-rounded, being able to connect with people from different walks of life, find things that you like, study, hobbies, habits, go on YouTube, explore, try different meals, learn how to cook something else other than your traditional Sunday dinner, really take time to pour into yourself. But more importantly, the first one, he's not the only one. Maybe he's just meant to be a friend. Just because you meet and you go out for coffee doesn't mean he's your future husband. Women, we get excited. Oh, girl, I think I met the one. Girl, you don't even know his last name. He may be, but just give the chance and the opportunity to just be friends. Because it's one thing to love somebody, but make sure you like them.
Very true.
Friendship's important. What else? Be patient, be gracious. People, you meet people where they are. You don't know what that man went through before he met you. And if he's doing things that's triggering you from your last relationship, maybe you need to pause dating and do some therapy and figure out why this man is triggering you, because maybe he doesn't even realize what he's doing, but it just reminds you of something. And if you feel yourself clenching up and locking up, then maybe you need to revisit that and really explore why you're having that response. So I would definitely, that would be some advice. And just drink your water, exercise. Everything's not meant for social media. Just because you went on your third coffee date at Starbucks with this person, you don't have to post,
Right.
Just go enjoy the coffee, So keep your friends out of your business. Do not take advice from your girlfriends that are still bitter and broken from the last relationship.
Wow.
What else?
You gave so many nuggets right there.
And enjoy the moment. Just because a man is being nice to you doesn't mean he wants you. Maybe he's just a nice guy. I think sometimes we as women can be guilty of reading more into the situation than what it is. Maybe he was raised right and he has good manners, he's polite. That may be the case. But don't take every cue from a man as something more than what it is. Maybe it's just what it is. And if he is interested in you, he'll let you know.
Yeah. Yep. He has to choose. We think we can choose, but we don't. They choose. I think that was beautiful. How can people connect with you? How can they listen to your podcast and follow you on social media? Tell us all the things.
Okay. Well, my name is Camille Essek. I'm on Instagram at Camille.Essek. I'm on YouTube at Camille Essek Official, or just type in my name. We're on Facebook at The Speaker Podcast. I'm on TikTok. I have a lot of fun over there. We do a lot of lifestyle things, a little comical things. I also will do some product reviews there. I'm mainly working to build my YouTube channel. The podcast, The Speaker Podcast, we're streaming across various platforms such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, AfterPod, all the places, Stitcher, Google, Audible, all these streaming services. We are there. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, we really appreciate you giving somebody, man, you dropped so many nuggets. People are going to have to listen to this one a multiple times to catch everything.
I hope I said something good.
No, you definitely did.
Yes, you
and
did.
Time just goes by so fast. Next thing you know, it's like, I said that? Them words of wisdom.
Yeah. You'll be able to listen to your own episode and you'll be like, man, that woman was wise.
Yes, and I would love to have you all come over to the Speaker Podcast for, I guess, a reunion. Just come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll do that. That'd be great.
Definitely.
That'd be great. It is so good to speak with you.
Great.
Oh, no, thank you for being so open and sharing the behind the scenes, because sometimes we see what people look like on the screen and we don't know that there's work that goes into that. So thank you for sharing that, Camille.
Yes,
And all the technical stuff that happened.
Yes, it's very different when you're on the other side of the microphone. I was like, ooh, these hot.
Yeah, well, we love you. We appreciate you. So, guys, if you guys enjoyed this episode, please remember to download it if you're listening. If you're watching, please like, subscribe, share, and share this episode with your family and friends. And we love you, and you are more than enough. And we will see you same time, same station. Share this video, leave us comments. Watch more of our long content on YouTube. We create long content because we want to give you more than just 30 seconds or 15 seconds. So we try to make it at least 30 minutes.
Now remember, we're stronger together.
And we love you, and you are more than enough. So we'll see you guys next Saturday.
Bye. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your investment in time. Remember to subscribe to the show and hit the notification icon to be notified when new episodes are posted on the podcast platform that you're listening from.
Or you can always find us on our website at richrelationshipsus.com or our YouTube channel, Rich Relationships with Gil and Renee. If you found this podcast helpful or you think it could help someone that you know and care about, please pass it along and share it with them.